Hey you guys, it's Allie with Imperfect Pages, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a little collaboration project that myself and Erica from the Nerd Journals are doing to celebrate the spring equinox. We thought we would do a spring-themed journal page, collage, project thingy, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through the process of how I created my pages and then some of my favorite things about spring. So I started with these watercolor flowers that I just used some like pinks and blues and just kind of messy painted them. I knew I was going to layer them on top of some other things, so I wasn't too worried about making them look perfect on the watercolor paper. And I'm just going through and kind of messy cutting around them. Again, I know I'm gonna layer them on top of some other things and add some paint to it later, so I wasn't too worried about it being perfect. Also, my style is more messy anyway, so the extra space around the flowers and stuff, that doesn't bother me. And I work on cutting these out for just a little bit longer. I used my Sakura watercolors for this. They're one of my favorite watercolor sets. I also have Prima ones, but the colors that I needed for this one were in my Sakura set. And then this cutout here is from a Flow magazine. Was it a Flow magazine? No, it was a Daphne's Diary magazine. And I love the outlines of these flowers, and I had them in my stash. I've had them for probably 4 or 5 years at this point, and I'd been saving them for whatever I deemed was a good enough project to use them on. So when I saw these in my stash, I knew they would be perfect for this collage. And I guess throughout the video, while I'm going through the process, I'll just talk about kind of my favorite things about spring. The spring equinox is coming up here on March 19th, I believe. And spring it's one of my favorite seasons. Summer is my favorite season. So going into spring, it just feels like all the good changes are happening. The days are getting warmer. It's light longer. It's just a very happy season for me. It brings up a lot of feelings of like change, transition, good, positive energy, warmth, comfort, all of those good things. And I love the feeling of change in the air. I feel like when I'm out in the car and people are driving with their windows down and music playing, it feels like the beginning of a new season, a new transition period, and it's very refreshing. So here I'm just taking a magazine cover that I had in my stash as well. I know it has pumpkins on it, but I loved the colors in it, and I end up covering the pumpkins, as you'll see in this video. So I wasn't too worried about them being on there. I knew I could cover them either with the watercolor flowers or some paint, but I really liked the purples and blues and pinks in this because those are the colors I'm kind of associating with this season. This year I try to pick colors for each season. Last year for spring and summer I picked pink, yellow, green, and like a turquoise color. And then this year I think my colors are going to be pinks, blues, and purples, maybe a little bit of green, but mostly pinks, blues, and purples. Those are just really standing out to me this year. I keep seeing them just out in my daily life, so those colors, I feel like they're calling to me for a reason. And then here I'm just cutting up some notebook paper that I had watercolored over. Again, it was just my Sakura watercolor set. The floral page on the left side, that's just from a book that I thrifted, and it has just a bunch of yearly flowers, and the pictures in it are really nice. So I've been slowly using that over the past 4 or 5 years. And then here I'm just kind of arranging the collage to see where I want to put things and what more I want to add. And then I have just another small flower here. I don't end up using this flower, even though I did cut it out, which is interesting. I cut it out and then I sat it aside and then I never used it, but I am cutting out the green part of this paper here to turn them into leaves. So I did use a lot of the watercolor shapes that I had created, just not that tiny flower that I cut out. And I didn't end up using the purple one either in this spread, but I just had given myself some options when I was painting. I kind of had a rough idea of what I wanted to create, but just didn't know exactly. And then here I'm just kind of setting stuff aside so I can start gluing things down. I am using just regular liquid glue. That seems to be the best thing that works for me to hold down collage pieces, especially the thicker paper like the watercolor and the magazine clippings. Glue sticks just don't seem to work that well for me, and I don't mind using liquid glue. Another one of my favorite things about spring is the flowers and the trees getting their leaves, the new blooms coming up out of the ground. It feels like a representation of my energy and I always feel like spring is a good transition time for me, time to start picking up new hobbies and new activities. It feels like a time of renewal, and the flowers, I feel like, just represent that very well for me. So I wanted to incorporate that into this collage. Flowers come up a lot in my journaling, even in like the covers of my journals, but especially in my collages. Florals are just a recurring theme throughout all of my journals. Even in the winter, I find ways to use florals. And here, again, I'm just adding the collage down to the right side of the page. I did end up doing this collage over like 3 different sessions because I glued down the stuff on the left page, and then I had to close the journal for it to dry flat, and then I had to come back and do the right side. Then I had to close the journal again, wait for both sides to dry before I could come back and do the finishing details on it, which I ended up doing the next day. So that's why there's a little bit of a lighting change, because it was stormy this day. We actually had tornado warnings the morning that I filmed this. It woke us up at like 5:30 in the morning, which is just very fitting for spring weather in Illinois. We don't get tornadoes often, but just a few times a year. So it was quite the way to wake up and start the day, but everyone was safe. It was fine. So here I'm just using some metallic Uniball pens to add a little bit of messy doodles around the watercolor flowers, which again is why I wasn't super worried about them being perfect. Even here you can tell my line work is very messy. It's not perfect. I don't want it to be perfect. I really, truly love the messy style of my journals. It just feels like me. And then I add some just craft paint. I have some pinks and greens here that I'm adding to my journal, just to the middle of the flowers and throughout the page. Just add a little bit of texture and detail. And then I guess some plans for spring for me. I'm hoping to do some more work with tarot and spend some time outside. Spring is one of my favorite times to be outside because the weather, it's not too hot, not too cold, it's just refreshing. I guess, what are you guys planning for spring? Do you have any big traveling plans? Are you guys planting gardens this year? I'm hoping to maybe plant some flowers. I don't know if I'll do vegetables again this year, but it is an option. And yeah, I'm just really excited for this time of year. Again, I love summer. I was born in June, so the spring going into summer just feels, it's when I feel my best. And it's the time when the winter blues have finally faded, and it feels like my soul can just thaw out from being cold and gloomy all winter long. And I can embrace the new season, take on whatever new changes come, and just get excited for the newest time of the year. Here I'm just adding a little paper that says, Welcome Spring. And yeah, that is the end of this collage. I hope you guys liked it, and I hope you have a wonderful spring. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!